Hi students, today in this video I am going to discuss the chapter 4 Materials, Metals and Non-Metals. The whole materials are classified into metals and non-metals on the basis of the difference in their physical as well as chemical properties. In this video I am going to discuss only the physical properties, the chemical properties related to metals and non-metals, including some chemical reactions, so that I will discuss in the next video in detailed manner. So, what are physical properties? Physical properties are the properties which are related to the structure and the appearance of the materials. If we list out the physical properties of the metals and non-metals, we can get some differences in their physical as well as chemical properties. First one, we can take that one is appearance. How they appear. In case of metals, they are shiny in appearance, or we can say they are lustrous. For example, gold, silver, iron, steel, these all are metals. You can see that these all are shiny in the appearance. While in case of the non-metal, for example, sulfur, if you take some sulfur powder, it will be a dull in appearance. Or coal, dull in appearance. It's not shiny. So that means that is the first physical property we can say that regarding the metals and non-metals. Second one is the hardness, whether they are hard or soft. Generally, most of the metals are hard, like iron rod, steel rods. Because of this reason, these metals are using for construction of concrete buildings, because these metals are hard in nature. While in case of non-metals like a coal, if you take a coal piece, you can break by your hand itself. This is regarding the hardness of the metals and non-metals. And the third property, that is malleability. What is malleability? The property of a material by which they can be beaten into thin sheets. That property is called malleability. For example, we know that aluminum foils are using for wrapping food items. How aluminum meal is made, or how it is possible because of the high malleability of the aluminum. This is not only for aluminum, for most of the metals they are highly malleable. While in case of the non-metals, if you just beaten by a hammer, like take a coal piece and beaten by a hammer, you can observe that that piece of the coal will be broken into small pieces. It cannot be made, or it cannot be beaten into thin sheet. The next property, that is ductility. What is ductility? The property of a materials by which they can be drawn into wires. That property is called ductility. Generally, metals are highly ductile because we know that the electric poles are connected by aluminum wires to transmit the electricity, because aluminum can be drawn into wires. Similarly, copper wires are used in our household electric connections because copper can be drawn into wires. Clear? While in case of non-metals, if you try to pull out and try to make into wire, it is not possible to make into wire. It will be breaking down. If you apply too much force at the tail end of a non-material, then it will be break into two pieces. It will not be made into thin wires. So this is the another physical property we can give. Let's take another property, that is conductivity. Conductivity, again we can classify into conductivity of heat as well as conductivity of electricity. In case of conductivity of heat, metals are good conductors and non-metals are poor conductors. For example, if you take a metallic scale and shone in a flame, and if you keep it continuously for few minutes or few seconds, your hand will be feeling some hotness. It is because of the heat energy absorbed, or heat energy absorbed by the metallic scale from one end will be transferred or conducted to the another end. That means metals are good conductors of heat, while in case of non-metals they are poor conductors. Clear? Similarly, in case of conductivity of electricity. In case of conductivity of electricity, metals are good conductors while non-metals are poor conductors. We already said that copper are used for making wires. It is because of it possesses high ductility. It is not only because of high ductility, it is also because copper is a good conductor of electricity. Because of this reason, copper is used for making electricity connections in our house. And the last property that we are going to discuss, that one is sonorous. When metals and non-metals struck by another object, how they will produce a sound. For example, in case of metals, if you struck when a metallic plate or utensil, something is struck by another object or a spoon or something, you can observe that it produces a ringing sound. That means they are sonorous. The objects which produces ringing sounds are called sonorous. When in case of non-metals, it is not that. To examine that one, you just take a coin and a stone, okay, and just drop it from a certain height to the floor at a different time. Then observe the sound produced by the coin and the stone while it hits the floor. You can observe that the coin produces a ringing sound while the stone does not. Because coin is made by metal, they are sonorous, while stone is not a form of pure metal. Clear? This is all about physical properties of metals and non-metals. Now let's look at some examples of metals and non-metals. Some examples of metals we can take like aluminium, copper, magnesium, gold, iron, calcium, sodium. These are the some examples of metals that we can give. Similarly, some examples of non-metals are sulfur, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, helium. These are some examples of non-metals. Generally, metals and non-metals possess certain differences in their physical properties we have discussed now. But there are some exceptions possible. For example, we know that generally metals are hard, but sodium and potassium, they are soft metals. They even can be cut with a knife. Similarly, generally non-metals are poor conductors of electricity. That means they do not conduct much electricity. While in case of graphite, graphite is actually consists of almost more than 90% of carbon, which is a non-metal. That is, it is a material made by non-metal, but still it is a good conductor of electricity. That means some exceptions are possible, even though generally they show certain physical properties. This is all about the first part of this chapter, that is physical properties of metals and non-metals. In the next video, I will discuss the chemical properties of metals and non-metals in detailed manner. So that's all today. Thanks for watching.